There's lots of ways to build muscle. This is a pretty straightforward, simple way. It's just real effective. Hey guys, Mark McKillier with Live Anabolic, and today I want you to consider this workout split for building more muscle, especially for you guys over 50. Matter of fact, it's such a good strategy for building muscle that I've incorporated it into my Fit After 50 program. The generic design of this program is my entire phase 2, okay? So matter of fact, we're just gonna go through that, all right, real quick. My phase 2 in my Fit After 50 program. Now this is not the entire workouts for that entire phase, but this is basically the underlying foundation for phase 2. And it's basically this. We have a push day where we hit all the muscles in our body that require a pushing movement. It would be chest, triceps, and shoulders. Then we have a leg day, obviously what that is. And then the third day is a pull day. And when you're pulling stuff, you're using your back muscles and your biceps. So those are the 3 primary workouts of phase 2. Now there's more stuff going on because I actually have 5 days in there and you're doing other things on your rest days. But it's a great program. And I'm just gonna kind of go through some of the exercises, and you're gonna understand real quick when I start talking about this, how much you can do at home with no fancy equipment, just some dumbbells and bands, all right? You don't need a gym membership, all right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna kind of step through all the individual exercises of those 3 days, push, legs, and pull, okay? And then you're gonna see on the screen, you're gonna see me kind of just doing the exercise, just real briefly, but I'm just trying to give you a feel for what a real effective program kind of looks like. And this has been a kind of a traditional go-to design for many decades. And it's not something you want to do for the rest of your life, but it's definitely worth doing for an entire phase of my workout program. All right, so let's just look at the very first of the 3 workouts I mentioned, and that is push day. All right, now when we're hitting push muscle groups, that's chest, shoulders, and triceps. So that's a lot of different muscle groups, which means we're gonna have a lot of different exercises. Matter of fact, there's 7 different exercises on push day in my Fit After 50 program. But it's worth going through and at least mentioning these 7 exercises. So as I go down the list, just briefly, you're gonna see me actually performing the exercises. And that's why it's such a great program, guys, because when you buy it, you got a couple of different options, but one of the options is getting a video library of me doing every single exercise in the program, which is over 100 different exercises. And I'm giving you tips and pointers as I'm doing the exercises. That's what's so valuable, not just watching me do it, but me kind of explaining what I'm doing, what I'm avoiding doing, and what I'm feeling as I'm doing each of these exercises. All right, so guys, the very first exercise on push day is a bridge press. And I have you using dumbbells, and we're gonna be doing alternating side to side bridge presses, but needless to say, this is a good chest exercise. All right, now after that, I have you go directly into lateral raises. Now, that's of course targeting our shoulders. That's my favorite exercise for shoulders, and it's great for a lot of guys that actually have bad shoulders and can't lift their hands above their heads. A lot of men can actually do this exercise. Third exercise, chest flies. Now we're using bands, all right? This is kind of simulating the cable fly machine at the gym, which of course is, $5,000. We can do it with some $20 bands at home. Move on from there to hit our triceps. Now we're gonna be doing tricep push downs, and I'm using bands. You're gonna really get a lot out of this exercise. This really feels like the cable exercise at the gym. Then from there, we do push-ups, all right? I have you doing them with your head elevated, so your head is higher than your feet, so you're gonna put your hands on the coffee table or the couch or something like that, but we're hitting our chest again, all right, when we're doing that. Then we're gonna move on to something called reverse flies. We're gonna be using bands for reverse flies, and of course, this exercise is targeting the rear part of our shoulders, our delts. And that's a real hard muscle group to get. It's small, it's not very strong, but if you build it up, it really makes your shoulders look big and wide. And then, of course, the seventh and final exercise of the day is an overhead tricep extension. Once again, we're hitting our triceps, all right, with this exercise. And after doing all 7 exercises, and we're doing them for a certain number of reps and a certain number of sets, all right, you're going to just have an enormous pump in your upper body. You're going to feel fantastic. But that is how involved push day is in my Fit After 50 program. All right, so the second workout of the week in this program is leg day. All right, kind of like push day, there's a lot of muscle groups in your lower body, which means we got to do a lot of different exercises to hit those different muscle groups. We got our quads, our hamstrings, our glutes, our calves. That's a lot of muscle groups, so once again, a lot of different exercises. All right, guys, so the very first exercise on leg day is squats, all right? I'm having you do these with bands, all right? The bands are going to be under your feet, and you're going to be using that to add resistance on top of just your normal body weight. All right, after doing several sets of that, I'm going to have you do glute bridges, but I'm going to have you putting a dumbbell on your waist to add weight, because just doing it with your own body weight with a glute bridge typically is not enough. All right, your glutes are big, strong muscles, so you need some extra weight. All right, the third exercise are step ups. You guys, those are killer. You're getting your hamstrings, your glutes, your quads all at the same time, and I'm having you hold dumbbells. Now, for you guys that are beginners and are way overweight, you won't need dumbbells, all right? Just your own body weight is enough. But step ups are surprisingly difficult. You're going to be sore in areas you've never felt before. All right, exercise number 4, calf raises. All right, this is a nice, easy exercise after having done all the big muscle groups. Calves are small, they don't really get you out of breath, and it's kind of a nice breather before you move on to the next one. All right, so the 5th exercise are called donkey kicks. All right, no extra weight here, just using your own body weight. And it may look easy when you're watching me do this in the videos, but you're going to be surprised, especially if you listen to my tips and tricks, that you're going to really feel this in your hamstrings and glutes big time, all right? And then the last exercise of the day is something called a stiff-legged deadlift. They're also called Romanian deadlifts, and this primarily targets your hamstrings and your glutes. And most of you guys have never done this before. Once again, you're going to feel sore muscles that you've never felt before, but that's a great sign. It means you're actually building muscle in your lower body. All right, so the third workout of the week is pull day. And now we're just focusing on back and biceps. So we're going to be doing 5 different exercises to target those 2 major muscle groups. This is a really fun workout because when you grow your back, it makes you look really wide. And when you look wide, it makes your waist look smaller. Whether you're 40 pounds overweight or whether you've got ripped abs, it still makes your waist look smaller. So back is a good muscle group to work, and a lot of guys totally neglect it. All right, so the first exercise on pull day are curls. And I'm gonna have you doing, dumbbell curls here. And I really like doing alternating curls. It means I can really focus on each bicep one at a time. And you'll just start, and that's a small muscle group, so that's not a killer. All right, after that, I'm gonna have you move over and we're gonna do lat pull downs. All right, so now we're using the bands, all right, and this is gonna work a lot of muscles in your back. There's actually 17 different muscle groups in your back, and this hits a bunch of them, okay? Great exercise. All right, exercise number 3, we're gonna move on. We're gonna go back to curls, all right? I'm gonna have you doing dumbbell curls again, but I'm gonna have you doing curls with a hammer style grip. And we're gonna be doing 2 arms at the same time. No alternating this time. All right, so the 4th exercise on pull day is renegade rows. I have a lot of guys send me emails and make comments on our Facebook group talking about how hard those are. It's a great exercise, and I guarantee you 99% of you guys watching right now have never done this exercise. And then, of course, the last exercise of the day, straight arm pull downs. All right, We're gonna be using bands again, and this replicates an exercise I do at the gym with the cable machines, all right? So most guys actually haven't done this exercise. A lot of men have done lat pull downs, but very few guys have done straight arm pull downs. And you're gonna feel it in a completely different set of muscles in your back. You're gonna really feel these kind of up high under your armpits, okay? And you'll notice it the next day when you're sore in, once again, muscle groups that you've never been sore before. So there you go. I mean, it sounds simple. Push, legs, pull. All right, it's highly effective. But did you count how many different exercises there are in that workout program? And that's just one phase, and that's not all the different workouts for the week I have you doing. All right. So guys, there's lots of ways to build muscle. This is a pretty straightforward, simple way, but it's just real effective. And it's something that you don't get bored with because there's so many different exercises. You're moving around doing so many different things. And if you're not bored with something, it makes you typically more interested in doing it. And you typically push yourself harder, and you don't tend to skip workouts. All right, and finally, guys, I know this is an obvious self-promotion here, but instead of trying to create your own workout programs, just try one of ours. We had several fantastic programs that were designed by professionals, myself and Gary Walker. This comes directly from my Fit After 50 program, and there's just so many other things that are involved in that program. You know, there's 3 phases, and there's ab only, workouts, and there's nutrition information that comes with it. I mean, it's a lot of stuff. So there you have it. All right. One phase of Fit After 50, fantastic way to build muscle, no matter how old you are. But the key is you got to stick with it and never give up on yourself.